So yes, I'm Alistair Mumford from Devon County Council down in the southwest of the UK. So we have declared a climate emergency, like lots of other councils and a lot of you here, and are trying to work out exactly how we're going to respond to that climate emergency. We have a policy target of being net zero by 2030, and so we need to reduce or eliminate carbon emissions by at least 70% and then offset the remaining, or no more than 30%. We also have a policy target to secure at least 30% of our energy from renewable sources. And we have the government's Committee on Climate Change that says there needs to be a quadrupling in renewables. So there's all that pressure on trying to get more renewables out there, where actually getting renewables in the UK is quite difficult at the moment, as peculiarly, considering we're hosting COP26, we still have very few subsidies or incentives for putting renewables onto roofs, into fields, and so forth and so forth. And we're also a very keen supporter of the community energy sector as well. We see some massive benefits from that, and I'll come back to that as well. The other thing we've got is procurement regulations, so public procurement regulations, which many local, public sector organizations in Europe will have to deal with as well. And they can get in the way. So they stop me from saying, I want community energy to give us electricity, or I want local renewables to give us electricity. I have to open that up to the whole of the UK now, or for yourselves, it would be for the whole of the EU. So that's what's brought us to the synthetic power purchase agreement, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. But just to say here then, so this is the normal relationship between, so we've got Devon County Council in the, can I do a little cursor? Maybe I can. Over here, and we're an off-taker, we're a consumer of energy. Over on the left, we've got a renewable generator, so solar PV, and up here we've got the marketplace, so where the licensed suppliers, the energy suppliers sit buying and providing electricity. So in general, what would happen is that we would, if we had a normal power purchase agreement, is that we would be, we'd have a relationship with the licensed supplier, and we would be giving them money, and we would be getting energy from those. We've also got some solar on our roofs, so we would be getting the energy flow from that, and we might be getting the REGOs as well. And then we may have some of our renewables will be exporting when we're not consuming. So, and we generally at the moment get our electricity from mPOWER. Well, it's E.ON now, but that all seems to work very, very well. But it does stop. Yeah.
Can we ask you to speak slowly?
Sorry, yes, I'm sorry, apologies. So this is the relationship that we need to move to now, because that relationship we had before is not delivering more renewable power. So what we want here is a relationship called a synthetic power purchase agreement, where you have over here, you have Devon County Council, we're our consumer. We carry on purchasing electricity from mPOWER, so off the grid. So all of the electricity comes down the grid. So we pay for that. So there's that flow of energy and cash. And then what we do is we enter into an agreement with a generator, and we say to them, okay, what's the minimum price you need for your electricity? It's called a strike price, but say the minimum price. And we say to them, okay, well, we will guarantee that price for your electricity that you generate. So you can go away as a developer, as a generator, and raise finance, because you can say for X 17 years, 20 years, I know how much money I'm going to get. In return, that generator gives us REGOs. So in the UK, a REGO is a renewable electricity guarantee of origination. So essentially, it's a bit of paper saying this is renewable electricity. Now, there is a value that REGO has money, because, of course, we can take that REGO and we can rip it up so nobody else, it could never be sold again. And we can then say, that's it, we've consumed that renewable electricity, even though the generator is not providing us with electrons. They are just providing us with REGOs. So the generator every year sells their electricity to the marketplace. So in this way, Devon County Council still keeps its normal way of purchasing electricity in bulk from the market, but we can also stimulate the deployment of renewable electricity. Now, I talked about the strike price, which is, again, another bit of jargon. And here, if we look here, so we've got running along the bottom, so these bars, is the price of wholesale electricity. So when the generator, the developer of renewable energy, each year they go to the market and say, how much would you like to pay me for my renewable electricity? And they will agree a price. So if we see in 2022, that's about £55 per megawatt hour. Now, we have agreed a strike price with that generator, and that strike price is the guaranteed price. This is grey line here. Now, of course, that increases with inflation, well, or deflation, but that never seems to happen at the moment. So that would increase, but that is a set price. Now, when the price that the generator gets from the market is lower than the guaranteed price, then Devon County Council gives money to the generator. When the price is over, so the wholesale price is higher than the guaranteed price, than the strike price, then the generator gives Devon County Council that money. So that's where you can see that this relationship, sorry, I've got this slightly wrong, where you can see the cash can go back and forth. So sometimes Devon County Council may be topping up, maybe providing money to the generator, and sometimes the generator will be providing money to us. So it's a bit of a complex relationship, and it's a bit different. It's also called a contracts for difference, which again, another bit of jargon. But in essence, all it's doing is guaranteeing that developer a certain amount of money over the length of the contract. Now, we've worked out for Devon County Council, based on estimated future price, the future price of energy, which has now gone out the window because energy prices are going so high. But anyway, we would expect on those forecasts that this kind of relationship, a synthetic power purchase agreement with a developer, would actually generate income for Devon County Council over 17 years because of the rising cost of electricity. So it may cost us in the first few years because we would be topping up, but in the later period, it would then be generating income for us. So the benefits, because it's a financial instrument, it's not actually, it shouldn't really be called a synthetic power purchase agreement because we're not purchasing electricity. We are really buying REGOs or the certificates of it being renewables, and we are really just being a financial backer for that generator. But anyway, because it is a financial instrument, it doesn't need to be procured. So we can go to anybody and enter into a synthetic power purchase agreement. So that means that we can secure local community-owned energy. It's also a very cost-effective way of carbon offsetting or carbon eliminating. You know, based on our projections, we think actually it will generate an income over 17 years. So not only do we get the benefit of the additional renewable capacity and the carbon related to that, but it earns us money, which is great. It's also a partial hedge in the sense that if energy prices actually fall, and so Devon County Council is having to top up more, so not just at the beginning, but is having to top up in other years, that will also mean that the cost of energy that we're buying is also dropped. So there is some risk management there. There's a way that it can be managed. In terms of community energy as well, so one of the most important things is this lovely acronym called MEET, Most Economically Advantageous Tender, another great phrase. And essentially that just means that we can't waste taxpayers' money, which is fair enough. So we know that the community energy sector is probably going to need a higher strike price guaranteed price than maybe a commercial operator. Probably not that much. Maybe a community group would need £55. A commercial operator may be able to do it for £45. So not much, but there is an increase there. The good news is that we've had an assessment done of the community energy sector, and their conclusion was that for a given size, I think it was 100 megawatt solar PV farm, having it community owned would deliver an additional £15 million to the local economy because of all those great things that the community does. And that isn't a fluffy assessment. That is a social economic assessment done, a robust study. So those are good numbers. So we know that it delivers even more value to the area. And then there's the around the sort of long-term assurance that's the key thing that it's providing the community energy sector, long-term assurance of income. And then just briefly on the carbon element to it. So whether it's more carbon elimination or carbon offsetting depends on how you look at it. So the 3 points that are important to us are the source. So we know it's renewable energy. As it's local, we could even go and see it to make sure that it is a renewable energy source and somebody hasn't sneakily put in a diesel generator instead of a solar panel. It's attributes, so that generation is going onto the grid, and also that it's additional. Now, this is one of the most difficult areas, but we would hope that there's a reasonable level of assurance that we could show that that project wouldn't have gone ahead without the synthetic power purchase agreements. And then in terms of, so they're very important in terms of offsetting, but an SPPA has not been covered by the greenhouse gas reporting guidelines. So it's a bit of a unclear there, and we need to look into that more. But from a greenhouse gas reporting point of view, where you have scope 1, 2, and 3, this would definitely be scope 2. So it would reduce a reporting organization. If they're reporting on their carbon footprint, it would reduce their scope 2 emissions, which would have substantial value. So I think that's it from me. So we've got more work to do. Devon County Council hasn't approved this yet. We're still waiting to get senior officers and members to approve it. We still need to look into the how we would work out what the reference price is. So this is to make sure that when the community energy organisation comes back to Devon County Council and says the price we've got from the wholesale market is I don't know, £65 per megawatt hour, we need something to be able to say, okay, that's correct. Oh, that is reasonable. So there's something we'll check there. And then on how the payments will work between the two organisations. And of course, we then need to build the partnerships because not only Devon County Council, but other public sector organisations in Devon could use this. And so we can build up a portfolio of organisations who are looking to enter into a synthetic power purchase agreement. So that's me, Britt.
Thanks, Alistair. I wonder if just in a couple of sentences, do you just want to let us know your community energy sector? How big is it? Like, how many organizations have you got currently in Devon? And how might you have helped them in the beginning, maybe as a council, to come off the ground?
Yeah.
We'll open up for questions.
Yeah, okay. So the community energy sector in Devon is very vibrant, and we have one of probably the largest community energy sectors in any region in the UK. They vary, so there's probably 4 or 5 which are very well established, have generation assets, and then there's some others that are just sort of starting and may be getting onto the journey. So I would say as a whole, there's probably about 10 organizations within Devon as a whole. But they are, you know, the organizations are evolving. They're moving from putting solar panels on commercial roofs. They're now starting to do energy efficiency work as well, which is great, which is really great to see, working with households, those in fuel poverty, to try and get them out of fuel poverty or just to decrease their carbon emissions. In terms of what Devon County Council has been doing, we've been providing grants to community energy organisations. We've been paying for third-party organisations to support community energy organisations through training or just facilitating, getting people together, getting them to talk. And now we're also starting to contract to them. So community energy organisations are delivering services on our behalf, particularly around energy efficiency in the built environment.
Thank you so much, Alistair. I think, Francisco, we have a couple of questions before we move forward.
Exactly. We have until now 2 burning questions to Alistair. So the first comes from Guilherme from Copernico, and I think he wants to understand, and Guilherme, correct me if I'm wrong, if the city council pays the access to the grid tariffs on the purchasing of your agreements.
Yes, so in terms of a synthetic power purchase agreement, yes, we would be paying the top up or whatever, and also benefiting potentially from the profit if that's the case. But yes.
Guilherme, I don't know if it was this your question regarding this topic. I don't know if you would like to clarify. Otherwise, I can move to the next question from João Cleto from Almada. So Guilherme, your silence, I think it's the tacit agreement that everything is clear. So just to clarify, and this is from the Almada Energy Agency, southern from Lisbon, having in mind your last comments on scope about the greenhouse gases accounting, your targets are for the emissions generated by the city's activities institution and not to the whole of the community, so the whole city community of Devon. Is this correct, this interpretation, or not?
That is correct, yeah. Our targets are just for the organisational emissions, so Devon County Council's emission. Fortunately or unfortunately, we're not responsible for the whole region, but that may be something that needs to happen.
Okay, much clearer. Thank you.